looking to hire anybody, real quick before we get started, if you are looking to hire anybody, now's your chance. Come on up, have your chance in front of all of the security people of Kansas City. This guy right here, look at him, coming in. Come on up.
I want a job.
Come here. All right, come up here. Tell me your name and what kind of job do you want?
My name's Olathe.
Olathe.
And I'm an aspiring help desk specialist. Yeah, you heard me.
Hey, cut it out. That's not funny.
It is kind of funny. It's okay.
Go, Iggy!
No, I'm a former recovery support specialist. I switched into IT because I wasn't getting a full-time job, and I'm definitely more interested in IT than I was in recovery. So if any of you are looking to hire anybody, I am a hard worker. I'm sure you hear that all the time. But if you talk to me for a few minutes, maybe we can figure something out.
I have some questions. Is your last name Olathe?
Yeah.
That is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Is your first name Iggy?
Yeah.
I believe you. Thank you, Iggy. All right. Anybody else looking for a job? Oh, we got it. Wait, are you hiring? Hiring. Come on up. Yeah, cool.
Hi, I'm Nigel. Currently, right now, I work in the non-profit sector, working on food justice on the Kansas City, Missouri side. One of the things that I'm starting up is a company that's focusing on trying to close the gap between transportation inequality and food insecurity. And one of the ways I'm looking at it is trying to see if Uber Eats or DoorDash, that kind of infrastructure, can be used in a non-profit kind of way to get fresh, affordable produce to people who can't make it. And so I don't know where to start, but I figured a room full of awesome, smart nerds would help me figure out what I'm supposed to do. And so I'm looking for anyone who can be a consultant, kind of like work off the infrastructure of DoorDash or Uber Eats, kind of.
Give me that mic back. That's fucking cool. Yeah, that is fucking cool. All right. Do you looking for a job?
Yes.
All right, come on.
All right, my name is Andrea, also known as Marketdisk, is my hacker handle. I've done a little bit of everything. I've done back-end development, embedded development, systems administration. I've done some DevOps. I'm looking for any of these things. I have I have 2 bonus children and a girl, and we really don't want to lose our apartment. So let me know if you're hiring. Yeah, I just now started looking.
Awesome. You'll do great. You'll do great. We got one more?
Looking to hire.
Looking to hire.
All right, so actually, I'm not hiring, but my company is.
Okay.
I work for Honeywell. They are looking for a SOC 1 position. You must be able to support a Department of Energy security clearance, so you'll be a shadow fed. But I already posted this on the jobs section on the Discord, but if you still want an extra link, hit me up before I leave tonight.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to play a game right now. It's called Spot a Fed. Oh, come on. What do you got? You looking?
Yeah, I'm looking for a job.
Come on in.
My name is Arjun, and I'm looking for software engineering jobs. So I'm looking for full stack development. So I'm looking for full stack development, which is Node.js, PHP, Python, something related to that. So if anyone is looking to hire and looking for development roles or anything, so I'd be interested.
Awesome. We got one more.
Turn down the fucking dire straits. Turn down the fucking dire straits.
Hi everybody, my name is Aurelia. I need work. I've been a code monkey for 20 odd years. Yeah, 20 odd years. I mostly do these days AWS, TypeScript, Node, that kind of stuff. But I also do a little Rust. I came up with a Perl developer back in the day. Yeah, so, and I do some Python too, so I do a lot of different stuff. So, I do
I do DevOps too. The end. I need a job.
So I have a real quick question. Is DevOps 2 the second of DevOps or DevOps also?
I do DevOps also.
I gotcha.
Well played.
All right, you what? All right, you looking or you what?
I'm looking for a job.
Okay.
Speak a little bit. Centric's IT career program. Just looking for anything to get me a foot in the door in IT.
All right, looking for a foot into IT.
You gave me the right space. Hey, Centric. All right, so I've got a small update. Can you guys still hear this? Because I'm just. Hey, turn me back up. Mike. Check the cable. Mike.
They said, try it now. All right, I got a real quick update. Here's what they said. They said, Bill, you're not following the schedule. I said, fuck you, I'll do what I want. All right.
So with that,
Anybody who's... Yeah, that's the guy who told me. All right, so for all you newbies, what we're going to do is we're going to open up with 101. This is what you can expect from SecKC. I'm going to introduce Travis and hand it off to him. Everybody say, Travis!
All right, here we go. SecKC September after DEF CON. Hope you all had a great time. Let me move back here by this thing.
with your slideshow.
And I think I'm good now. Let's see if I'm in the picture. What do I gotta do to get in the picture?
Take a pretty picture.
There we go.
Oh, you got it.
Just here. Somebody run this.
I'll run it.
I'll run that.
You're good.
All right, here we go. SecKC is the biggest and bestest monthly InfoSec event in the world. Check us out on SecKC.org. Abandon reigns all ye who enter. We all swear. It's a common thing. We say fuck, we say shit, we say a lot of different things. If that's not your thing, SecKC Code of Conduct. Look for the yellow badge. If there's a white badge, you can fall back there too. Destroy no data, maintain no persistence. Above all, do no harm. If you have a flipper and you're trying to break into someone's Tesla, please don't. State and federal law enforcement officers are encouraged to and do attend SecKC meetings. SecKC does not track membership or attendance, therefore we cannot provide this information to anyone. Everyone belongs at SecKC. The membership requirement is to choose to be a member, that's it. Assume all humans are technical. Do not think that just because you see someone who you think might not be technical, that they aren't technical. They are. Everyone's technical. Assume that. Shut the fuck up. Please remain. Shut the fuck up while people are talking up here. Our speakers are actually, in fact, respectable. I might not be, but the rest of them are. Meet someone new. If there's someone here that's new, please shake their hand, do a high five, do a, I don't know, gritty something. If you're into football, do that. Challenge people. No, don't challenge people. No. Challenge ideas and not people. It's okay to say, I'm not sure if that idea is really correct. It's not okay to say, I'm not sure if you are correct as a human being. It's not okay. Challenge ideas and not people. Google Forms is how we get our pizza order done. So please RSVP each month. That's how we count the number of pizzas. Please do that for us. Get social, SecKC.org/connect, discord.gg/SecKC. You see it on the slides. I'm not going to read all of them, but those are our socials. Please connect with us there. Get swag. We have swag available at SecKC.org/products. And get involved. Do you have a skill of any sort?
We can use your help, SecKC.org/volunteer. There are a lot of things that you can do for us. Please reach out. There's no idea that's too dumb. We welcome everything. That's not a joke. That is a joke because we have a topic coming out tonight about dumb questions. But all questions are welcome. Get involved. Have a skill. Be the change you want. Do you think that we should do something different? Let us know. Suggestion box, hashtag suggestion box exclusive to the Discord. Again, discord.gg/SecKC. Calling all ham radio wannabes. Come take your ham radio license test and see in the Shut the Fuck Up room, which is right back there. Right back there in the back. We have, spots are limited, so sign up. You have to have a photo ID required. Ping at read, R-E-I-D, on Instagram for more information about that. Study materials can be found on, there you go. There's a link right there. hamstudy.org. And here's our bonus. We have a few cons coming up. Here are the dates. CornCon, October 3rd to the 5th. Wild West Hiking Fest, October 9th to the 11th, Deadwood, South Dakota. We have John Strand there and a lot of other people coming. Great person, John Strand is a titan in the industry. Everyone would be much better off if they would check out his stuff. He's really, really good. And for the rest of the agenda, we have OSINT News coming at later than 6:15. It is now about 6:30, and we will do that with netcode. Netcode! Welcome netcode, everybody!
Nobody's up there. Nobody up there.
1 second. Here we go. So, we got the news of the summer. This is 60-some slides, so it might be a little more than 10 minutes. I would apologize, but I put effort in, so I'm not going to apologize. Also, I made the slides last night, so the information may not be quite as fresh. I apologize. I'm going to put the links to the slides in the Discord, and afterwards you can also come up and ask me for an NFC card if you want them now. Start off with some skill issues of the last couple months. This dumbass tried to extort the state of Missouri for $750,000 in Bitcoin. It didn't go well. Weird. Geico is dropping VMware OpenStax. Great job, VMware, you're killing it. I hate yourself. This 17-year-old in Germany found their secret pirate site list. So you would never download a fraud, that'd be weird. This happened, it was a national public. Yeah, that was the whole thing. You should lock your freezer credit. That was the typical stuff I heard. It was a little interesting. It looks like some of it was garbage, but not all of it, and it's hard to sort that. Also, the reason this happened, according to Krebs, they published their own fucking passwords. So don't do that, don't be like them. That's bad. That's why they're under this category. Entrust managed to lose their certificate trust, and Google no longer trusts them, in case you were wondering. Scattered Spider Boss, was it the whole MGM thing, I believe it was? Might have been a different one. Got cuffed, that was cool. You guys might know about that one. This was, a little bit of a thing, possibly. Speaking of which, I didn't have enough space or enough slides to fit all the memes I have, but here are two that I thought were pretty all right. I know this is known before, but I didn't really feel like searching for a better link, but this is kind of funny. North Koreans faking, fake IT work. I guess they did their job. They just did a little extra, a little more than they were paid to do by their employer. Celebrite used to crack some random person's phone. It was all over the news around a little while ago for some weird reason. I think it was a Samsung. It turns out older Samsungs, not very secure, and Celebrite can do it. Speaking of which, if anyone has access to Celebrite tools and hardware, could they please let me know? I would love to do some experimentation, hypothetically. Next up is breaches. Avis, I believe this was published yesterday, or this morning, that they got breached and affected basically 300,000 people. Thanks, guys. Iran just paid millions to end their massive cyber attack on banks that they've had going for, I believe, a week now, or 2 weeks, maybe more. SeaTac airports got. That was unfortunate. U.S. microchip giant, that was also unfortunate. American Radio Relay League, they paid $1 million ransom. I honestly don't really know anything about them, but that seems sad. So, it's a side cat. The top U.S. oil field firm, Halliburton, was breached. This really depends on how you feel about oil companies, but it did very much happen. FlightAware configuration was just leaking user data because, remember, user data isn't real, it can't hurt you. ADT admitted they've been hacked. I believe this was a little while ago when they actually got hacked. AT&T paid some money to delete stolen phone records, dickheads. Then some takedowns and let's fucking go with things that happened. The FTC announces final rule banning fake reviews and testimonials. This is awesome. Let's fucking go, guys.
That'll stop it.
Yeah, I'm sure it stops it. This interesting Linux malware evaded detection for a couple of years, and it was actually fascinating. You did! I mean, it's not great that it was evaded detection for so long, but it is a cool thing. NIST released their first encryption tools to resist quantum computing. This one, I don't know, it's a thing. I don't know. CloudStrike refuses to bow to CrowdStrike's bullshit DMCA takedowns. You cannot take down parity. You can't stop it. Parity will always win in the end, I promise. Or at least I hope so. A couple of people were indicted for running dark web, quote-unquote, criminal marketplaces. It's only extremely illegal. I don't know. Some other things happened with Lazarus's Python scripts all getting dumped. That was cool. The UK arrested a teen and suspect from the MGM Resorts attack. I don't know if this article just didn't mention Caesars or if they just think it's a different person. I don't know. Maybe all they got was for MGM. Then on to the next section, the part where this fucking blows. This sucks. I promise it's super reliable. You should all fly Boeing all of the time. Ford, it was announced today, is seeking a patent to listen to driver conversations to serve ads because fuck you, we want to make money. They also will give you a nice place to nap. Sextortions, scams now include photos of your home. There was a little conversation on this in Outhouse today. I think it was this morning. But they're using, I believe, Street View typically to take pictures of your house and then include those to make it seem more threatening, which, I mean, it seems more threatening to me. There was a couple of 0 days, including one that I believe was quote-unquote unpatchable that Mariah was using. So, that was fun. Some cryptocurrency pig butchering scam got a Kansas bank and someone in prison was ex-CEO for 24 years. I don't really know a whole ton about this, but it seemed interesting. Pig butchering scams are not fun, not very cash money at all. There was a security issue in Matrix's, one of Matrix's encryption libraries. I couldn't find a meme that actually made sense, so I went with that one. There were a couple of room searches during DEF CON, at least under... Everyone hated it. At least I believe it was Resort World Properties. I don't know of a good link or a good article from a free source, but 404 had a really good article about it. But I wasn't directly affected. I don't know anyone who was directly affected, but I heard some really wild stories. As part of this, I guess this was right before, LA LVPD was not happy about DEF CON being there, I guess. Or that's what I'm saying. I think they all need to go off. They don't have it. So DHS is developing dog-like robots to jam home networks and disable devices during police raids. This is what I saw when I clicked on the article. This is my first thought. I hope that's what it is. It looks way cooler. Intel had a little bit of an issue with oxidizing vias during manufacturing for a couple months, and that affected a lot of CPUs, including 14700K, 14900, and 13th series. It was a whole deal. I think they're doing RMAs now. USPS shared customer postal data, or addresses at least, with Meta, LinkedIn, and Snapchat because they are just dickheads like that sometimes. And now on to vulnerabilities. Yes, everyone should lift. There was this interesting little VMware Fusion code execution one. I suspect you should patch this. This seems like a good idea. That's a good question. Not Geico. The answer is not Geico anymore. So first of all, fit check everyone. But second, YubiKeys are vulnerable to a cloning attack thanks to an issue with the encryption library they were using. And it is vulnerable to a side channel attack. However, keep in mind, the attacker has to have, I think it's something like $10,000 or $11,000 worth of electronics equipment in a lab. They also have to have physical access to your key. They have to take your key apart and then presumably put it back together. I guess if you're that concerned, I mean, fair, but I wouldn't be too concerned about this one at the moment. CEO's cards were broken. I don't know if that's great for you guys or what, but I was very excited to find out CEO's cards were broken. That was announced at DEF CON. Great talk. Highly recommend whenever that comes out on YouTube. Sonic OS, weird, I know another one, had a improper access control, and I can't believe they did it right in front of my firewall. Dickheads. Copilot, shocker, really phenomenal piece of software. Had a couple things that you can do. Don't worry about it. Similar to, I wouldn't say similar, but in another attack on chips, AMD has a very, very difficult to fix issue called sync flows. That one's very interesting to read about. A little bit of a Windows downgrade attack that you could kind of do, where you could just force Windows to downgrade, because fuck you, that's why. That was a little concerning. I believe they just announced they patched that in the patch today. But I didn't read all the patch notes, I skimmed through them. This one is fascinating, actually. What if you could use RAM to exfil data from an air-gapped network? I haven't read the whole paper, but it sure seems cool when I skimmed through it. And hackers can create traffic jams thanks to full-on traffic light controller, because, you know, what, you're telling me traffic lights aren't secure in this economy? I didn't have a meme that fit this anyway, so I went with that one because I had it and hadn't used it yet. Cisco Smart Software managed their on-prem password. They had a really, it was awkward. This is why you actually test your things before giving some of them to people. On to the funny, to try and make everyone less depressed, because all of this has been depressing. This dumbass got demoted after installing a Starlink, I believe it was, antenna on a Navy warship. A really, truly brilliant plan. I believe they named the network Stinky, which would never have ever gotten caught. I don't know how they figured that one out. Really intelligent decision. So, I don't know how everyone feels about Roblox, but this happened. Well, year-long campaign against NPM to attack Roblox developers. I don't actually know why I put this in funny. That was a mistake. Sorry. Sorry, anyone that's a Roblox developer, my bad. You can also just walk straight through security, or could, with SQL injection, because security. Thanks, TSA, you're winning like always. Can't believe they did it right for my stroopwafels. Disgusting. Missouri's Attorney General legal war against media matters was shot down by a federal judge. That's pretty good. Very cool. So the founder and CEO of Telegram was arrested at a French airport on multiple charges. Some of them are concerning and some of them are funny. I mean, I guess it depends on if you use Telegram or not, or you rely on it.
No, it's funny.
I'll call it funny then. Let's go. This is very funny. Yeah, it was, I believe one of the charges that I guess the only one I was really concerned about was importing or exporting, I think it was, encryption without a license, which is a little weird. Tickets.
He transported math?
He did, in fact, transport meth, and that is confirmed.
Holy shit!
So the DOJ is suing the landlord software company for inflating Americans' rent. So if you rent, blame those dickheads. I mean, blame other stuff, blame those dickheads. There were some funny characters that you could type into your iPhone that would just cause it to crash because Apple makes really high quality software with zero flaws. That is confirmed. That's why we all use iOS here, right? Speaking of phones, some researchers claim the Google Pixel phones shipped with exploitable software since 2017. However, it's really like some of the software wasn't enabled, some of it wasn't there, some of it wasn't really exploitable. It's kind of a possibility, but it isn't as big a deal, I think, as they were trying to make it out to be. I can't believe they did it right for my kitty cat. Kaspersky, this is very old now, but Kaspersky has been booted out of the United States. I guess reasons.
All their assets have been bought up by another company.
Oh, wonderful. I'm informed all of their assets were bought by another company. Weird.
Capitalism and Buy America?
Do you know who it was?
I don't know.
Not quite sure who it was, but that happened. Anyway, thanks for listening and hopefully not booing. Here's a wonderful picture of Ed Sheeran with nothing strange about it. Also, I'm looking for a job. Oh, shit. I'm still looking for a job. No matter how much you guys boo, you can't stop me. If anyone wants, or I do a wide variety of things, not super into one thing, but I'm mostly just trying to find something that is mentally stimulating, because my current job is not. But if anyone wants the slides before I post them in Discord, you should come up and tap one of these funny matte black NFC cards with your phone. It's a really good idea, I promise. Anyway, thanks. I think I'm handing it off to the music now. Is the music going? Oh my God.
You can be honest. I'm not gonna make fun of you. It's fine.
I don't.
Oh, hell yeah. See, this is why we keep coming back here, folks, because the staff is cool as shit. Yeah, actually, yeah. So for those of you that might be lying in the audience, a Pi-hole is something that was admittedly designed to be run on a Raspberry Pi, but doesn't have to be run on a Raspberry Pi. Now, they're going to tell you that it's good for blocking ads. It is really good for blocking ads. It's also really good for operating as an arbitrary DNS sinkhole. You can also see what different clients on your network are fucking requesting, with a little bit of work anyway. And it does a pretty good job of securing your DNS activity, at least better than your ISP does. So, I mean, admittedly, that isn't a very high bar. Now, there are a couple of caveats to this. How many of you know what DOH or DOT is? Very good. Okay, that's see, now not as many of you are lying anymore. Essentially, we're going to talk about why, but these two things kind of make the job of a security analyst kind of a pain in the ass, if I'm going to be real. But that being said, again, privacy, convenience, kind of a trade-off, right? Again, we'll talk about that as well. So, why should you care about this stuff? I like to start my talks with, why am I sitting in this room listening to this loud-ass man, especially when it's being recorded? First of all, because the sound quality is going to be dog shit on this recording. Sorry, YouTube. But second, I guess these reasons, really, again, you don't have to like it. It is what it is. The nice thing about a Pi-hole, though, is you don't have to worry about having something installed on your phone to block ads. Pretty much all of us probably install uBlock Origin first fucking thing whenever we open up a browser, I assume. That being said, though, I mean, quick show of hands, how many of you do have an ad blocker on your phone? I am curious. That's about what I expected, right? Some people, it is a big enough deal that they give a shit and they do it. Most people, probably not. This is kind of ironic, given that malvertising is probably most easily targeted towards mobile phones, but I digress. Honestly, for no other reason, to have your internet not look like fucking this, right? Have you ever gone to bleepingcomputer.com with your ad blocker turned off? Holy shit! It's awful. Again, deeply ironic, but it is terrible. The modern internet without an ad blocker is hell. Who would, honestly, and some people use it too, right? Think about that for a minute. That's a little fucking weird. I don't know how to change that. Now, a lot of people are going to say that a Pi-hole can do a lot of things for you that it can, but it's also going to cost a lot of usability, right? So I'm not going to preach the, how awesome it is for privacy. Yeah, it has some privacy features, but really, if privacy is your main goal, you're going to need to do more than a Pi-hole. You're going to need to run your own DNS server. With running your own DNS server, at that point, you can actually have end-to-end encrypted DNS. But again, we'll talk about the usability impact with that here in a little bit. Again, was there a question? Sorry, did I see a hand up? Nope, maybe someone just stretching. Awesome. Bill of materials, pretty cheap shit, all right? You can get a Raspberry Pi if you want. You can also get a clone Orange Pi. There's a bunch of systems out there, honestly. Really pick your poison. If you've got a computer that you already keep on 24 hours, you're a fucking dork, you probably do. Spin up a container, spin up a virtual machine. You can go at it that way. You don't have to necessarily spend money on this. You do need a router that doesn't suck, all right? And there are a lot of ways that you can qualify what makes a router suck. In this particular case, you need to be able to set what your DNS server is in your router for this to be worth a shit, all right? If you can't, throw it out. Go buy a $50 Netgear router or something, or a MikroTik, don't use what your ISP is sending you. There's a lot of reasons why. I'll get on that soapbox outside if you buy me a drink, maybe. Actually, I'm driving. Don't buy me a drink. So we want to talk about some assumptions before I get too deep into this. Again, there's more than one way to skin a cat. By the way, I own 2 cats. I don't know why. I think I just used that phrase because, it's something that I've been raised to, right? I don't know. I don't like it, but my point is that there is a lot of ways to do a thing, right? So I'm going to tell you the use case of what we are assuming here, right? If you don't know the joke, assume a spherical cow, ask your nearest physicist. It is a fascinating joke. So we're deploying this in a home network is the first assumption. Can you deploy this in the enterprise? Yeah. We should rap about how you might do that. It's not the worst idea, but there's just a lot more considerations. When it's just your dumb shit that might go down, the risks are a lot lower. Just suffice to say. I'm going to use the example 192.168.65.0 because that's what UNT decided to give me today. Did I say today? Oh, my bad. Usability is our primary concern with this setup. Again, the assumption is that this is a home network. Maybe you do live alone, all right? But a lot of people live with somebody else, and that somebody else usually gets real butthurt whenever you're making a change to the network and they're trying to stream some dumb shit on Netflix, HBO, whatever, right? Usability is going to be our primary concern. I'll talk about areas where you're going to trade off if, usability is not your primary, and we're also going to assume that the internal network is clean. Is that a stupid assumption? Yes, it is. However, we live in a world where supporting VLANs on hardware is pretty fucking cheap. So if you're not segmenting your kid's stupid fucking gaming hardware from your work laptop, that is your problem, not mine. You deal with it. Oh, I skipped a slide, sorry. So, with that out of the way, step one is you have to install the Pi-hole. I know, that's probably obvious, right? Let's talk a little bit about that, though. Again, you can do it on the Pi itself. More than welcome to. You see that? You're piping a command to bash. Hey, guys, is that smart?
No.
No.
Yeah. Rock and roll, son.
However, all of you that said no, you can tell me about all the code repos that you review line by line before you clone them on GitHub. Thank you. Now that being said, credit where credit's due. The Pi-hole authors say, hey, this is a pretty debated topic. Kind of fucking dumb. You can do this if you want. Again, spoiler, it's here's the code, read it. No, funny thing is trust built in computer science. Well, again, soapbox, different day. They've got different ways for you to set this up if you would rather not pipe the bash, but because you're listening to a speed talk right now, I'm probably going for the speedy route, right? There's containers too, but I'm an old fucking fogey. I like VMs. I'll figure out that Docker thing one day. Not today, though. My one bit of advice, all right, that I have not already gone over thus far, is that whatever you put this on, make sure it fucking comes back on automatically. I cannot tell you how many hours I have spent troubleshooting my fucking network after my power goes out because Evergy fucking sucks, and I forget that it's on my Raspberry Pi on a fucking USB device that has to be powered back on after my power goes out. Preach! Real, recognize real. Alright, so after you've done that, the rest of it's literally fucking configuration before sending it to prod. Now, first up there it says RTFM. If you don't know what that means, turn to the oldest person you're close to and ask them what that means. They'll tell you, and they're not being mean, by the way. At the end of the day, I'm going to go over what I think are the important parts that you should pay attention to in a speed deploy. At the end of the day, though, the documentation has it all. We are not going to go over every nook and cranny use case. We're going to go over Scantlin's lazy-ass use case that he developed today, question mark? You can't prove that. So, once you've installed the Pi-hole, you're going to log in. Anyone see anything funny about this slide? Like in the front row, because you're maybe the only people who are going to be able to see it.
I can't see it.
I heard that voice come from not the front row, assuming we could read. So, it's unencrypted. Boo! That's why we said we assume that the internal network is clean. Is your entire internal network clean? No, but the segment that you deploy this one on sure as fuck ought to be. Can you put a TLS cert on it? Yeah. Is it more effort than it's worth? It depends on if you've sprung for a $50 device that supports VLANs or not, I guess. But regardless, when you log in, you're going to be greeted with this. You'll see that there's like fucking nothing in there. That's because I spun it up in a virtual machine and started taking screenshots. Didn't connect it to a network. Sorry, y'all. I got a day job. If we go further, let's see. You can the query log. I skipped over it, but guess what that contains? The fucking queries. Imagine that. It's it's pretty self-explanatory. I'm not showing screenshots, but trust me when I say if you can read, it will make sense. Clients is a rather interesting area, depending on whether or not you have given the Raspberry Pi the authority to be your DHCP server or to pass through DHCP forwarding. If you don't do this, everything comes from your fucking router. Now, that's not to say that you don't get usable data. It's just that it's a lot more interesting to know where the porn sites are coming from, as opposed to, you know, just it's coming from my router. Oh, imagine that. Well, it's on my network, so I knew that. But this is how you bust your siblings looking up porn, all right? Not that I've ever done that or anything. Not that you should do that either. That's king shit. Domains. If you need to block an arbitrary domain, so again, let's say you're maybe deploying this in the enterprise, maybe you live with people who you have views that you don't agree with. Maybe you just want to be a troll and redirect all requests to Google to Bing. You can do all of those things and more in the domains section if you so wish. The ad list section, again, no surprise, it contains ad lists. It comes with one very large list. You'll see that 177,000 metric. I'm lazy. As Griff reminded me, the last time I was here, I told you all, my goal is to learn how to become a couch. All I want to do is play video games and chill. And I'll do a lot of hard fucking work to get there, let me tell you. So you can add more lists on there if you want. Again, this is a security place, right? So what does this come with? Ad lists. Are there other threat lists that are DNS-based that you could add in here? Hell fucking yeah, there are. Or there is. Yeah, do that. It's awesome. I have it in this example, but you can do that. Now, again, I told you about a lot of y'all maybe live with somebody that gets real upset whenever something's not fucking working that ought to be. And admittedly, occasionally you will find an overzealous rule in a Pi-hole ad list, all right? That disable blocking button is very handy. Those of you who are married, let me point this one out specifically. I cannot tell you how much shit this has saved me from my wife. Just real quick. Oh, sorry, babe. Disable blocking for 10 minutes. I'll fucking come back to this later. Undo the changes that I did. Happy significant other, happy life. I know, it doesn't fucking rhyme, but it goes, you know, both ways. Local DNS is handy. If you've ever wanted to look like a real cool person and type in some fucking weird-ass address instead of typing in some, you know, IP address for another system you've got on your network, great. This is a pretty easy way to do it. It's got a handy GUI. Could you run your own DNS server? Yeah, sure. But again, lazy. Lazy, lazy, lazy. Remember that. That at my core is what I am, unless you're my employer, in which case I'm a very hard worker, all the time. So, the tools section, again, I kind of zoomed in here, all right? That's the next section down. The tools section, use these, all right? So, is it smart to deploy something and then fucking not update it?
No.
Thank you. Now, admittedly, all right, this is going on a home network is our assumption, right? And again, most home networks, actually, that's a really good question. Court of opinion. Do most home networks allow shit inside from the outside nowadays? To some extent, would that be a fair maybe answer? Okay, so there we go. Point in case. Maybe this is more important than it was in previous years. It depends, right? Again, are you a curmudgeon-y old bastard and refuse to have IoT anything, smart doorbells, smart anything? Fuck all that. I want all of my appliances to be as stupid as I am. For me, it's a little less worrisome for me. Again, I've been talking about VLAN separation as well. Is VLAN hopping a thing? Yeah, sure. Is someone burning something like that on my home network? Probably fucking not. Regardless though, if it fucks up, if you fuck up, this is the place that you go in order to troubleshoot those problems. Now, let's get into the more hairy, subjective, and sort of waxing philosophical things, right? You've got some choices for upstream DNS servers. You can choose from the list of things on the left, or you can specify your own server on the right. Does anyone see a problem? I have to trust a company that I don't have any reason to trust, or I have to do work. It's a very, very difficult conundrum I find myself in. Now, what do I recommend the average layperson do? At the end of the day, I mean, Google is one way to go. We're on Google Fiber too, right? I mean, depends, what's your use case? Do you want really good performance? Awesome, your DNS requests will go that much faster if you want. I don't know, that's a hard one to do. Personally, I generally just forward to quad 9. There's no good answer on the left-hand side, is kind of my point. Okay, what's the good answer, smartass?
Standard bearer unbound server and point to root servers.
So again, sure, if I want to do work, I can go that route. And that is the secure way to go about it. However, additional complexity offers additional possibilities of fucking up. Sure. Again, depends on your use case, but if you have other people living in your house, I mean, I don't know how tolerant your friends are, but my wife is very intolerant of my bullshit.
Get good.
Get good. Sorry, I work in public sector. I don't have to. That's also a joke. That's also a joke. Though people who don't know me and see me speak must think very low of me. Let's go over some other settings. Let's boost that thought of me a little bit more in people's eyes, right? For home use, go with the recommended setting, right? Now, some people have really interesting and fun use cases for a Pi-hole as well. They want to use it on the road. They want to use it wherever they are. This can work. You wouldn't probably deploy it on a Pi. You would probably want to deploy it in some cloud, at which point you're going to need to choose one of the potentially dangerous options. You're going to want to respond only on the interface if you are deploying it in the cloud, but you are still being too lazy to run your own resolver. However, if you want to be an overachiever, like Eagle Eater, what you can do is bind only to interface, and generally you're only going to do that if you're running the name or the resolver on the same thing that you are running the Pi-hole on. If you are running it on a separate system, get back to that first bullet point, respond only on the interface, and then properly firewall off that interface such that your resolver can talk to it. You could permit all origins, but you should really only do that if you're doing research on assholes on the internet, basically. There's a couple of advanced settings here. Again, if you are deploying this at home, again, if you were one of the liars in the beginning who doesn't know what a Pi-hole is and you're hearing about this, you're like, this is fucking awesome, I'm going to set this up when I go home. Leave these alone. If you are going to be one of the folks that are deploying this in the cloud, somewhere where it will be resolving things other than local IPs, then you'll want to pay more attention to this. And we've got this pesky DNSSEC thing here again. I say pesky, and I mean that in a friendly way. It shouldn't be pesky, but unfortunately it is. How many of you know what DNSSEC is? It's been around since the late 90s, if I'm not mistaken, early 2000s. I don't remember when the IETF... Dan Kaminsky, son! So, in case you were curious about global adoption of DNSSEC, now, I'm not cool enough for this to be interactive, but if you go to Appnik's website, you can actually see what these percentages come out to, but I can tell you it's like 30-some-odd%, 20-some-odd%. The only countries that have like a 75% or greater adoption, I am assuming is because of relative lack of infrastructure, and when we got infrastructure deployed, they were like, do it once, do it right. Right? That's cellular, actually. Oh, that's a good point, actually. Huh. Cellular being a big part of their uplinks does make a good call. See, Bill coming in dropping the knowledge bombs. Point being, though, is that as far as global adoption is concerned, nobody still really gives enough of a shit about DNSSEC for it to be super relevant for most home users. All right, most. Again, this is all subjective, right? It depends on how strongly you feel about things. You're probably one of those people that likes ISO enter keys on keyboards. But yeah, a couple other things you can take a look at. Rate limiting. Oh yeah, sorry, shut the fuck up. I forgot. I don't really care, clearly, if you're talking or not anymore, but just because I think I'm louder than you. Rate limiting is probably something to look into if you're deploying this out on the internet. If you're deploying it at home, if you need to adjust that default, you have problems with your home network that hopefully that Pi-hole is showing you what devices are causing that problem. Conditional forwarding can be handy if you have a kinda sucky router. A kinda sucky router is one that still lets you modify the DNS server, but not redesignate the DHCP server. It's a lot easier if you just tell your router, hey, this Pi-hole thing, that's my DNS server, and it's also my DHCP server. Super easy. You can separate that out if you want to. Maybe you want to for, making easier your better blast shield doors, or, reducing scope of damage in the event of something bad going on. But again, most home networks, we're going for path of least resistance, right? Again, though, if your ISP is giving you some hardware that sucks ass, you can make it suck a little less ass there. You do have to be able to point your router to the Pi-hole for DNS, though. Again, if your router can't do that, you are shit out of luck. Go buy something. I'm not trying to sit here and say, oh, 50 bucks isn't a lot. I recognize that depends on, the situation, right? But at the end of the day, that's probably the cheap end of what you're looking at, just to give you a price check. What?
Shut the fuck up.
If you're gonna tell him to shut up, you gotta do it louder than me.
I was trying to be subliminal.
Nah. There's nothing subliminal or subtle about me standing up here. All right, couple other things. You remember that pesky shit, DOH and DOT that I talked about? I say pesky, what I mean is pesky for network observability. So, back in the 90s, some of us, allegedly, used to sit up at the IHOPs because they were 24 hours and they had wireless internet access. You know who would show up at IHOP around 11 p.m. from about 11 p.m. to 4 a.m.? The police! The police! And let me just say, allegedly, there was some really interesting shit you could see on networks back in the 90s. And then encryption became a thing, right? And that was great. All of a sudden, you couldn't see things being passed in clear text anymore. Suddenly, you could log into your bank account, and someone couldn't super easily steal your information. Super easily. They can still do it, by the way. It's just a little bit harder, right? Cat and mouse game. So for a while, that was kind of where things were at, right? The payload's encrypted. Actually, an encrypted server name identifier has been around for a long-ass time. But again, much like DNSSEC, wasn't used terribly often. It's actually out of date now. Does anyone remember what is it ENI or some shit? Or no, encrypted client hello, ECH, is that it? Encrypted client hello. It's fucking, it's slightly out of date. I'm thinking that that's one of the things that they changed in the Pi-hole 6 upgrade. By the way, that's coming out, it's in beta now. It's a couple of months to go, I would assume, before it gets rolled out. I actually didn't put anything in here about the updated features, whoopsies, but it's getting significantly better. Go check it out if anything in this talk does interest you. But so ESNI and stuff did things to try and protect more, right? What's the one big thing that was left open even though the data payload was encrypted? Anyone? Headers, which include the part of the URL, which is known as the SNI, the server name identifier. So I might not know exactly what YouTube video you were going to, but I knew that you were going to www.youtube.com. Again, it's, in my opinion, pretty good blend of privacy and usability in general. That's speaking as a network troubleshooting person, also speaking as a very innocent person. I don't go to bad websites. Now, that being said, right, there are some people that take privacy more seriously than I do. And so, encrypted server name identifier or encrypted client hello is it's more commonly used now. They're actually two separate standards, but encrypted client hello is the current one that's used. Takes care of that. All of a sudden, I can't see what website you're going to. Now, this has multiple effects, right? All of a sudden, I don't know that you're going to YouTube anymore, but guess what, motherfucker? I can't block your ads either. You're watching fucking ads again. So, what do you give up? By getting that full privacy, you give up not only on the things that can observe you for bad, but the things that can observe for good. All right, which again seems fucked up to say observe for good, but again, if you're in control of the tool, hopefully you can have some faith in it. If not, in the infamous words of Eagle Eater, get good, right? Another thing that's kind of interesting, right, is we've got Mozilla Firefox started doing DNS over HTTP somewhat recently. So again, kind of similar, right? Instead of doing DNS, normally, right, making a request over port 53 on something, what this is going to do is use HTTPS. It's essentially going to tunnel the DNS request through 443. And this is on by default in Firefox, actually. So, for the record, if you've installed uBlock Origin in Firefox and you found, well, my ad blocker doesn't work, it's because if you haven't turned that off, it can't read any of your DNS requests. You have to either give the plugin permissions or you have to disable this. As a network operator on your home network, if observability is your key aspect, sure, enable that. That way, if that is enabled on a client device, it won't hopefully take effect. I say hopefully because it's supposed to gracefully fall back to standard DNS if it gets that response, but it might not always, all right? Now, as an additional point, while Mozilla, I guess I've got a couple others. If you want to block iCloud privacy relay, so again, that's another thing that can circumvent, network observability tools. It's, again, your call if you want to turn that on or not. It can be interesting to leave these things on and experiment with them as well. If you plan on collecting long-term information, there's some interesting implications with collecting things over a year. You should take a look at it. But once you've done all that bullshit, all right, and it can be a lot of bullshit, finally, you're going to connect this sucker to your network, log into your router, point your DNS to it, hopefully point your DHCP to it as well, and then you might clear cookies and cache on your hosts. You might reboot some hosts as well, depending on your previous DHCP settings. That might just be faster than waiting. And then boom, hooray, you're all set up on your network. You're blocking ads, maybe you're blocking some other shit as well, but hopefully you're taking a look at what some of your devices are doing, right? Can you figure out how to do things in a more private manner? Yes, but I would argue that Pi-hole is more ideally suited towards filling you in on what the things on your home network are doing, at least from a DNS perspective, which can and often does shed light on what it is doing in a general sense. All right, wrapping things up, I've gone on, about long enough. So, again, we've talked a little bit about this, but while this is great in many ways, things like DOT, things like DOH, do kind of stop it to some extent. There are ways that you can try to prevent DOT or DOH from happening on your network, but at the end of the day, it's always possible to tunnel traffic. So, is this going to stop an adversary, a highly motivated adversary, or even a slightly motivated adversary? No, right? Don't get any ideas in your head that it will. But is it better than nothing? Yeah. All right, for those of you that are talking about trying to get your first break in security, if you don't have a home lab, start one and put this in it. All right, this is one of probably the first things that a lot of people stand up. And again, just from a hiring perspective, showing that you have passion and showing that you take some time outside of the classroom, outside of the workplace or whatever to do some shit on your own does a lot to set you apart from different applicants that, are just fucking fresh out of school, I have this certification. Learn to think outside the box, essentially. Apply the things that you read in a book and do something practical with it. This is a perfect good thing to do. And it's a good again, you learn things that wind up being a jumping off point to dive into deeper technologies. But if an upstream DNS provider does involve some degree of trust to be given, again, trust in computer science is pretty funny. I think that's about all. This may be the first time I've given a talk without speaker notes, so hopefully this actually makes some level of sense. But those of you that have seen me or heard me before, you know that I am constantly and always in the Discord. Please do not hesitate to ping me if you would like to ask any questions, discuss this further. I'll post slides in there. Do we have time for questions? When's next shit going on? I guess we got time for questions.
Can sites detect if ads are not resolving on your end, and how common is it that sites will just break because of stuff like that?
Sites can, so if you've ever been to a website that says, I see you're using an ad blocker, what we need you to do is disable it, so I tell them to fuck off. You can, if you want to play the fun game of inspecting elements and disabling UI elements in the browser, you can usually get to the content, but really I just don't give them any more of my time and I say fuck off, I can go find this information elsewhere more likely than not. It is a thing. Actually, on that note as well, I will say that in your router, you will probably have an option to set a backup DNS host. That's great for like uptime, but the problem is that when your Pi-hole blocks the ad, your secondary DNS server is probably going to be like, K. So, don't set a secondary DNS server. Just put all your eggs in that one basket.
Or have 2 pie holes.
Big worker over here. Yes.
Can you do anything about websites that host their own ads? So if you block the DNS, you also to block the ad, you also block the content.
In theory, if you were to do TLS interception on your network, you could then provide the full URI and block by regex. But if you're already doing full TLS interception, you probably have better ways of going about it.
That was a really good question.
That was, guys. I wish there, and unfortunately, because at the end of the day, without it, all you have to block on is, domain or subdomain, and well, it's probably hosted on the same network. Again, the crux of the question was who hosts their own ads. So again, normally we're blocking some CDN that we're importing it from. I didn't talk about either of the things I put in the abstract for this talk, malvertising or any features in Pi-hole 6. If you don't know what malvertising is, talk to me on Discord. We'll have a wrap. We'll try and find my slides from 8 years ago, because those are still relevant.
Hey, what's the difference between this and something like Asgard?
Your level of control.
Okay.
That's about it, honestly.
All right, everybody, let's have it up for it. that you have. So my background, just so you know, I started hacking in about 1987 is when I started hacking. Well, it really wasn't even called hacking back then. We were just exploring computer systems. From there, my career really took off. I ended up being the CSO of a major corporation. Fucking hated it. Quit my job and started my own company. So that's who I am if you have any questions.
I am RSA XVC. I deal with embedded systems, radios, processors, all sorts of bits that people interface with, and sometimes security that deals with those systems as well. And fun fact, I met Bill in a cave under 31st Street.
Hi everybody, my name is Danielle. I go by the handle always never MFA because let's be honest, it's true. I met Bill at SecKC a million years ago, but that doesn't matter. I have done a lot of identity stuff. I've done a lot of endpoint stuff. We've all not done something, so if there's a good question tonight, I would love for us all to be stumped. I am looking to understand what you don't understand so that we can talk about it. Have a good night.
Yeah. What's up?
I'm Aubrey. This is my first time here. I'm back to school for information technology and have a bachelor's from Kansas State University. Worked in the insurance industry during the pandemic and really fell in love with IT when we had to get all 5,000 agents in Overland Park up and running from home in 3 days, which was awesome. There were only 2 of us managers that were not sick, and then the IT team. So IT is what I love, and working with people is what I love. I'm switching careers to the cybersecurity space and the information technology space. And if you have any questions about that, I'd love to get involved with it.
Can you guys smell that?
Hey.
That's me. I'm the shit. My name's Daryl. I've got a long history mixed with a bunch of different stuff, but mainly I do a lot of hiring. So I have reviewed 100 or more resumes. I've conducted several interviews throughout my lifetime. I am here for people that are job searching. I'm just going to bitch about my pet peeves. And hopefully you can learn something.
Okay, so the way we want to do this is if you have a question, come take the mic and ask us that question, and we'll do our best to answer.
All right, who's got the first question?
All right. Yo! The saying I have is every policy has a story. So we're going to go down the road here, and we're going to talk about the policy that you've lived under and the story that made that policy happen.
So that's actually a really good question, Joel, and I appreciate that. So what Joel's mentioning is, is every policy has a story, and it truly does. But I just want to tell you, before I even start about my example, why policies are important is because they enable enforcement, right? Well, so we get that a lot. We get that a lot. But what I need, as an executive, I need to have something that I can point back to as an approved policy for to enable budget. Right, so if I say that logs need to be stored for, a year, that costs money, right? And so I need to have something approved to be able to point to. And so my story is about logging. So as I mentioned, I quit the corporate world, started my own company. We do mostly incident response, and I'm going to tell you 100% of the time, 100%, the logs are not available. The logs are not there. So I can't, when people ask me what happened, how did this occur, I can't tell you because you did not have the logs. Here's your new logging policy.
Sure. Yeah. Or you can say, I don't know. So I worked at a company one time, and this was a while ago, and I helped them realize the value of a password complexity audit. And at some point, they said, "Hey, we worked out your password." And I said, "My password is policy compliant." At that point, we realized that the policy was maybe a little too simple.
I'm going to take the inverse of this question, actually, because I don't currently sit in an information security role. I would say that as a member of the operations team that knows about security, the most important thing for me to be able to provide is an exception to that security policy. And I know that's probably not the popular opinion in this room, but I want you to understand that the only reason that we have jobs generally is because someone on the business side said, "Hey, wait, the risk of not having them is important or valuable, and I need them in the room. Why do I need them in the room?" So for me, whenever I'm standing up a new program, a new policy, whatever that thing is, as someone who's worked in a heavily regulated environment, if you don't understand the exception to your policy of what that thing is, you're shit up the creek without a paddle.
My experience with policies stems from role related. So when you give somebody a managerial role, you give them access to a lot more stuff. If you move them to a different division, let's say life instead of senior, then they're going to have access to everything in life that they had at that level. And that's something that we ran into where a bunch of people had access to a bunch of stuff they shouldn't have. So new policies and procedures are the best bet for me anyway.
I'm going to go way back to when I was a union steward. So all of you that have jobs, there are policies there. Learn them because they will benefit you or they may affect you in negative ways. About 2003, I was working with someone and this person could not get up in the morning, was always late. But the policy said, on your third party, you get a letter of reprimand. And then once that third party happened, everything starts to be progressive discipline and everything happens all at once. But you're also allowed 2 unauthorized absences before the policies mix. So, as a union steward, I would tell them, hey, if you wake up late, and it's going to be your third occurrence, but you've never had an unauthorized absence, don't call, don't show, because you're not going to hit that other ball. You're not going to get that letter of reprimand. So just don't show up. Hacks. So,
That's a hack.
so maybe I was a hacker way back. So learn the policies because you have to live by them one way or the other.
Read the fine print.
Read the fine print. Say it again.
In the interest of time, I'm going to make something clear here. Not every panel member has to respond to the question. We have a lot of questions to get through. If you are the best resource for the question to answer it, please answer it, and we will move on to the next question because we have very many. The next question, sir. We have a question for Daryl. You in the blue shirt. Come up here, sir. You have a question for Daryl.
I hope he wants to fight.
Bill, you know better than that.
Game on.
You talked about resumes. We've had a whole bunch of people talk about not only jobs and hiring. What are the biggest turn-ons and turn-offs from you reviewing resumes to help these people, A, find jobs, or B, disseminate jobs, resumes that they're looking at?
I want in on that too.
Yeah.
All right. Resumes need to be updated. So you have to put something on there that also grabs attention. So I work with a lot of Centric students Many of you have heard about Centric. I talked to a lot of you about coming out here, and I will see stuff like, I'm studying for a cert, or I'm going to graduate then, or something like that. If you tell me you are graduating in 2023 and I get your resume in 2024, it's going to the trash. People are laughing, but I have seen so many resumes that say, I'm going to do this in 2022. It is September 2024. If you have a LinkedIn profile and you put it on your resume, that LinkedIn profile better have something on it. I don't want to go stalk you on LinkedIn just to find out you don't have anything there. All right, I have a lot of pet peeves, but I'm going to pass the mic.
I'm going to interrupt real quickly. DanielleMain.com. I have a website because I created for myself. I've been asked to help a lot of people with resumes. I don't have the time to help all of you with resumes, so I've tried to create resources that allow you to make your resume suck less. Here's
ChatGPT.
Yeah. Actually, I go check out Danielle's site. That sounds incredible. I'm like, so, you know, as a hiring manager, you know, there's a few things that stick out. If it's on the resume, it's fair game. So let me give you a good example. If you write down that you are an exploit, you know, you've been doing pen testing and exploit dev, metasploit, whatever, I'm going to tell you something. Somebody on my team is going to ask you some very pointed questions, and if it's on the resume, it is fair game. Also, I think it's really, really important that you understand that when a company is hiring, you are a treasured resource, right? We're looking to build our team. I think that's something that a lot of people in the market right now, especially youngsters that were coming up and looking for jobs, you have to understand, like, we are also looking for we're looking to build that team. So things like what are you doing at home, right? What are those things like? Okay, so when we start talking about the standard nerd stack, whatever that is about my current environment, what else are you learning? So today we saw a presentation about Pi-hole, Raspberry Pi. If you put that on your resume, you might get an interview from me, but I'm going to ask you a lot of questions about that, right? I'm going to ask you about what challenges you had installing that. Like, what base operating system is that, right? So we saw earlier that there was a little script that you ran, you piped it to bash or whatever, but like you have to understand, like, what's that underlying system. And so my point, I think you both make great points, but if it's on the resume, it's fair.
But I will also play two truths and a lie. I will push your resume towards you, and I'll say, okay, what one did you put on your resume because you know it, and what one did you put on your resume because you know it's hot? And I will judge you based on your body language.
Jump with that on your resume.
Yeah.
Gen AI.
All right, let's got the next question. All right, this is a question not for anybody. No, open question. What should I put on a resume? Stuff I'm messing with at home, because I'm unemployed, so I got nothing but time right now.
I would love to talk about outcomes. I don't think that in my house I'm allowed to take the internet down without producing something. In my house, if the internet goes down, there's something that I have to provide that's additional or better because I've taken the internet down. So if you are adding something to your home lab or adding something to your home that provides additional security and allows additional logging, what is the problem that you're trying to solve? Think about it from a business perspective. You don't add a PFSense firewall because your heart desires it. You're adding it because some shit went wrong that you didn't expect that you wanted to templates for the future. So in my mind, if you're adding a password safe, if you're adding a firewall, if you're adding any sort of component to your home lab, there should be some sort of why. And then if you talk about why that why exists, you're able to talk about like why the effort you did in your non-billable time was important. So for me, that is what I tried to translate that to. I know that doesn't always work for folks that are not working for someone else, but at the end of the day, you need to prove why your labor hours counted towards a valuable artifact. So that's what I would do.
Just a note, make it a narrative. Just to summarize kind of what you're saying. Make a narrative, make a story.
Also, you should have... What?
Can you say what you said? I don't know if that came up.
So basically, long story. Yeah.
Narrative. Like, paint who you are.
Sorry, I don't know if you have a mic.
So you have a resume. The resume has different items on it. Make a narrative around those items.
Why? Yeah.
Explain, because I like that.
Okay.
That will bring me to my point.
All right. Sorry for breaking in here. So what we were talking about.
Joel, everybody.
Resumes. Sorry, is it too loud?
No, everybody's all.
Camera view. I was like, I don't
She doesn't want to look at you, Joel.
All right. So the important part here is when you have a resume, that's only part of the equation. So read the book, Win Friends and Influence People, because the fucking GRU does that. That book has just been in circulation for so long, but part of that is building a narrative around your resume. So build stories, make stories, and then outcomes. That story needs to be about outcomes. So I had this problem. This is the business value that this solution came to.
So Joel, I just want to tell you, I've given that book away. Like that book, I've given away probably 20 times. I completely agree.
I have bought at least 50 copies of Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
It's social engineering. That's what we do. We're social engineering.
It's the same thing. Like, I do the exact same thing where it's, what does the employer want from me? And then I put that on my resume. That's all I want the employer to see. What do they want from me? I don't care what I want. It's what they want.
So, to answer the question, all of you have several different skills. You should have several different resumes. Bill has a history of IT. He should tailor, if he wants to do pen testing, he should tailor his resume for pen testing. If he wants to do something else, tailor your resume. And also, when you're searching for jobs, find out, just like Travis said, what is that employer looking for? And then I'm going to tailor my resume. If you are sending the same resume for 20 different positions that are completely different, people are not reading it. Also, if you have a whole bunch of skills, please don't make me read 4 pages. Give me a page, give me 2 pages, highlight that you have some experience and you have some soft skills. Done.
Hey, Daryl, one more.
Can I do one minute?
I'm really bad at hiring, so I'm not going to give any advice. Is your question about how do I make my resume in a way that people are going to want to talk to me in an interview? Or is it more about how do I tailor my resume so that I can, as an entry point for discussion in an interview?
No, my question was, how do I put the shit I do at home, which is not so, I'm sorry, I'm getting very snappy.
That's okay. Go ahead. It's all good. We're good with that.
Fucking don't call me bro.
That's all I want to say.
I'm sorry if any of when someone did say.
I am unemployed. I'm trying to use my time in a useful fashion. So I play around with shit and I learn shit. There's no useful point to putting my home lab in Terraform, except that I want to do it.
there's no useful point to doing Ansible on my homeland, for example, except that I want to do it. The problem it solves, I want to do it. I want to play with it. That is the sum total of the problem. I put the firewall up because you put a freaking firewall on your network. I put Pi-hole up because I don't like ants. I do this shit because it needs doing. It doesn't solve a problem, it prevents a problem. And I'm rambling. But the question...
But how do you advertise that?
You just did.
Right?
Yep. That's it.
Huh? What?
That's how you sell it. That's what you sell.
But, okay, that's fine. Now I can say all that. But, how do I put that on my resume? To say, I did these things, so someone can ask me, oh, why did you do those things? My resume has not been updated in 6 months because I haven't had a fucking job in 6 months.
I would love to help you create a better artifact to talk about why you are competent and able to do those things. But I feel like at the end of the day,
Be a one-on-one.
yeah, like one-on-one is probably a better format for that. But I just want to make sure that at the end of the day, we all do a lot of great things, yourself included. And I just want to make sure that we all need to be conscious that our resumes don't always reflect that, and that's a problem. So let's figure out how we can give ourselves kudos more frequently, and make sure that happens. I'll connect with you right after this panel if you don't mind. My name's Danielle Main, so I would be happy to help.
Excellent, love it. Who has the next question?
1 minute. Are you taking online questions?
I'm taking questions from anyone here in the building. Yes, sir. Yeah, go ahead.
You had questions filled out on the Google form when you submitted, so I was wondering if those questions.
I think we're going to take questions from people here who want to speak with their questions for tonight.
We're missing a key member.
Maddie's not here tonight, so we can't.
Yeah, we're missing a key member, so if you submit it through Google Forms, I'm sorry.
You might pass that.
I'm in management, so I might be dumb.
I'm going to ask it verbally, but I'm not going to ask it as succinctly as I wrote it out when I asked it a week ago. So.
Can I?
Let's go ahead and take a question.
Add a thing really quick.
Okay.
So if somebody asks questions via Google Forms or whatever the method that Maddie had intended previously, we're not going to disregard those. We're just going to answer them later. So I apologize we can't get those to you tonight specifically. I'm sure that we're all going to turn around and give you our contact information as well. So if you're like, oh, Bill can answer that question way better than anybody else, just go find Bill or whoever that is. But I would always advise trust but verified. Always just go find the primary source.
Sorry. Thank you.
All right. Yes, sir. You got a question?
Hello, me again. I just wanted to ask, so I'm a junior computer science. I really enjoy coding and doing projects. Those are my two favorite ways to learn, I guess. So I was wanting to ask you guys about project ideas for some people interested in security. I know you might say a home lab. I want to set up a home lab, I would love to, but in my research I found about 20 definitions for what a home lab is, so I don't know what to set up anymore. So any projects, any ideas for how to set up a home lab, any coding projects, anything you guys have in that area, I would really appreciate it.
My garden, maybe after.
My home lab is a bar with whiskey.
So I can't answer that question for you. I'm going to try that. So, real quick, I want you to listen to this. We can't answer that question for you. So what you need to understand is you need to look at, I don't know if Donnie's still around, but you need to look at all the areas of cybersecurity or IT or whatever that is,
and you need to identify what interests you the most. Okay, and don't tell me pen testing, right? Like, I mean, like, okay, cool, but like what, right? Like, and that's how you build your lab, and you do that shit at fucking home, right? And so, like, if you get, like, if you're interested in defending or attacking or web apps or whatever, like, then you go, like, so let's just say that you end up that, hey, I want to be a pen tester and I'm really interested in web apps. Then you go download damn vulnerable web apps and you attack that, right? And that's how you build your lab. You build that lab based on you, right? So cybersecurity is this huge wide space, right? So, like, think about if you think about all the things we've already talked about in the first, like, 15 minutes, we've talked about policies, we've talked about hacking, we've talked about all these things. Every one of those are very, very different skills, and that's the lab that you build, right?
So I have a tiny server, I wanted to learn about ZFS, I wanted to be able to rewind my file system, so I made a little ZFS box. And then the things that I build out in my home lab, I have a CNC machine for making PCBs, and that's got a computer with some 1990 software on it. I have had trouble growing plants, so I built a little microcontroller that sticks into the dirt and it sets off an alarm when the plant is too dry. I don't know, I like making stuff, but you gotta build it to, as Bill said, to fill the niches in the things that you're curious about.
I totally have done the plant thing too, and I realized that just gravity is way easier to solve the same fucking problems that I was trying to build my Raspberry Pi to do. I was like, I have this Arduino controller that can test me like what the fucking RH is, but like, couldn't I just use gravity? So like, don't be surprised that like the simpler fucking solution is the answer, and like be surprised and like happy with it because my husband is. But like at the end of the day, like yeah, your home lab should be whatever you need. I'm a huge proponent of paying for some of those like third-party services, like try HackMe, Hack the Box, things like that, because they seem to give me what I need in the doses that I need. I don't know if anybody else is going to Wild West Hacking Fest. Woo! In October. But if you go to that festival, depending on like what price point you pay, you might get some free cyber range lab time. So I would say like whatever you want to do when you grow up, like figure out what your skills are. If you don't already know that, talk to someone who's already doing that job and say, hey, how the fuck did you get so smart? Like just figure that out. Like seriously, I asked Bill that the first time I met him, and he gave me a long list, and I was like, cool, I'll talk to you later. And I haven't talked to him since, specifically about that thing. I know I was dumb about a lot of stuff. But like seriously, find people doing the thing you want to do, and ask them what's successful, because like at the end of the day, that's the easy mark. Does anybody else want to
My home lab,
All right, who's got the next question for the panel?
Greg, where's Greg? Greg had a question. Oh, maybe not. Greg's gone.
If you or a friend has had multiple roles with short tenure due to layoffs and COVID-related disruption, how do you get past the bot scanning your resume type stage and get into an interview to even be able to relate a narrative about that type of thing?
Boom.
Okay, so everything is about AI, everything is about cybersecurity. No, go back to the basics. If you want a job, you need a job, you're hungry for a job, follow up. People are going to pay attention to you, your resume, what you submitted. If you are following up with them and asking them, hey, I heard back, or no, I didn't hear back from this, or I didn't get an appointment scheduled, or we scheduled something, but then they didn't follow through because something came up, yada yada. Follow up. Your face is going to work for you 10 times faster than a piece of paper when you're going through. We were hiring 4,000 agents during COVID, and there were only 50 of us. So I was looking through so many papers, it was insane. I had more resumes come off of LinkedIn than I could know what to do with, but at the same time, I wasn't looking for things that stood out. I was looking for the people that answered when I called. They called me back when I left a message, that sent me a text back when I sent a text, and that were willing to follow up. I don't want you working for me if you're not going to follow up with me. I don't want to waste my time on you and help you with your career if you're not going to do the same for me.
More pet peeves. If you're looking for a job, please don't have your voicemail set up like, the Google subscriber is not accepting calls. Say, like, thank you for calling, I'm not here, or this is, you know, have a message. And if someone leaves you a voicemail, call them back. If you're looking for a job, like, tailor your resume, look at the company, submit a tailored resume towards them. If you go to interview, sounds silly, some of us old people, me, Bill, will understand this, pre-write a thank you card. Because they're going to know, you're going to know their name probably because someone reached out to you, and just give them the card when they leave. True story, someone interviewed for a tier 1 position, they walked out of the interview, walked in their card, came back, gave 3 thank you cards to me and other 2 people that interviewed them. They did okay in the interview, and when I looked at the card, I'm like, hey, and I talked to the person in charge of account management, I said, call this guy right now, interview them right now, this person has soft skills. Social engineering. Dale Carnegie, how we influence and influence people.
Someone that we hired that worked there for 5 years sent a follow-up email thanking us for interviewing her.
Wow.
Simple as that. Soft skills, people. It's a real thing. It helps so much. It helps so much. All right, who has the next question?
Thank you, Greg.
You're welcome. So why should I waste time and money on security awareness training if, given the right circumstances, any given day, anybody can fall for it anyway?
Just like because I watch the Vikings, because any given Sunday they might win.
That's not true!
You're right, but I still watch.
So, I'm not sure where you went.
Over here.
Okay. So, interesting stat. Every time we would do a security awareness, my security team would be in the middle of the pack percentage-wise of failure. Right, you know, so does, you know, like, I struggled with exactly what you're talking about, right? So if I have a security expert who I've got working on real security things that will still fall for a fish, right? Like, is this valuable, right? You know, and maybe it's the beer talking, but, you know, like, so no, it's not, but what happens if we don't, right? You know, and so then you start thinking about, well, what are those things that I need? If I don't perform those tasks, am I negligent when that occurs? Yes. Right. And so I'm not sure what your question was. That felt more like a statement. And I agree, and I feel your pain, homie. Like I do, I get it, I understand. But you know, so honestly, when we start looking at security awareness, interesting enough, you know, in one of the meetings I had today, we had just done a very, very advanced, like super advanced tabletop exercise for a very large client, and one of our recommendations was that security awareness is not just phishing and passwords, right? And so that one of the things that they failed on is the system administrator, when they were looking through the logs, failed to identify there was a there was a user agent string that looked weird, right? You know, whatever. And the server admin had no idea, right? And so I think our recommendation there was we've reached a point where security has to be the baseline, right? And so I'm not exactly sure how to finish this conversation actually. Like maybe drink a beer again. but to that end, it's part of compliance. Check. It's you know, we cannot, you know, we want to make sure that we're doing the right things. Check. But also, right, it probably needs to extend outside of fishing.
I got next.
I would love to add to this, just if anything, for my namesake, always never MFA, because we're always getting popped in ways that are not phishing. I want to talk about multi-factor authentication, our favorite. If we don't understand what our paths are to known good multi-factor authentications, we're going to have problems. So if you're getting MFAs that are weird or suspect or not standard and you're not reporting to those to your organization, that's a problem, because that means it's either happening because we know it should in ways that we don't expect, or because we haven't communicated to that level of user. So in my mind, we need to also think about multi-factor authentication as far as what the expected user experience should be. So that to me is a huge gap when we talk about user-generated testing. I want to know who's going to fucking fail a 2FA, because they're valuable.
Plain and question.
Yes, probably.
One of the very first things that was asked was about policy. A lot of times we do things because of policy, and because prison trained me wrong, I always have prison stories.
Because you work there, not because
I work there.
Just be clear.
Mostly. So, we would always train people on con games. All right, because someone that is arrested and put in prison is in prison, and they have 24/7 to think about how to skate around stuff. How can I get what I want? So we do security awareness training because we are always behind. Because someone needs something and they are going to find a way to get it. So we have to try to be on the offensive. I've worked juvenile, male, female, and we would always tell male officers at the female facility, don't talk to Sally Sue. Sally Sue will get you caught up. You're going to get 36 months in prison because Sally Sue is going to get you to bring in cigarettes or something else. Don't fuck with Sally Sue. Did you hear about Jones? What happened to Jones? Sally Sue got him. I just talked to him last week. It's proactive.
Speaking of Sally Sue.
Sally Sue got some motherfuckers, I will tell you that.
All right, next question.
I've had officers in the male prison that I worked with at the female prison because Sally Sue got them.
So I have a question about certs.
Get them.
Yes, they are a good thing. As far as penetration testing, I know the OSCP is kind of the gold standard for all this. How do you guys feel about Heath Adams, TCM Security, PJPT, Practical Network Penetration Tester certs? How do you guys feel about those alternative certs to something like OSCP?
Bill, give it to Bill because...
That's a tough one, man. That's a tough question.
1 second, Bill. Because I want you to follow up on what you said. If it's on your resume, you're going to get asked. So I don't care what's on your resume. I'm going to ask you about it. You better answer like you took it.
Yeah, so that's actually where I would land to. If it's on your resume, it's fair game. Certs. Look, certification does not certification does not meet. There are people that have knowledge that do not have certifications, right? Certification is a way for you to present that you have taken something in that domain and you have certain certificate, you have that certain skill set. If you are looking, I'm really interested to hear your opinion on this, Joel. If you are actively looking for a job, certifications do help.
Yes.
Hands down, period. One second. But the same thing goes for like college and all of those things. Like what that shows me is it shows me that you have the ability to finish and you have certain capabilities. But we also understand that they are not a requirement for at least a lot of jobs that I've applied for.
Yeah.
So the important thing to think about with certificates or degrees, it's a token. Somebody has signed off that you have accomplished this thing, you have learned this thing, and you have achieved this thing. It's like an SSL certificate. Basically, you have a certain amount of trust that's given to you by that certificate holder. So, but the certificate doesn't really have much value to that first tier of HR. They're just looking to see if you have the token. They go through the process to verify that you have that token. Now, the important part of your interview and making sure that you put your best self forward during that interview is what have you done above and beyond getting that token. And so even though, because you have that token, doesn't mean that you're immediately getting the job. The question is that are you able to put your best self forward to prove both the confidence and understanding and answering questions that you know the whole of what that certificate is meant to measure.
I have no certificates, and I would not recommend job hunting that way. Personally, every interview that I got was because I either knew someone at the company already, or a few times because I cracked something that somebody else didn't have an email that I could report it to, and then eventually somebody got in trouble, and they're like, maybe we should hire this guy. So, yeah, job hunting was real hard when the first line interview is, do you check this box? No.
I do not. I actually came from a very non-technical background. I have a degree in philosophy and economics, so I was very soft on that side. I have an MBA MIS now that makes me a little more full stack, which is great. But my GCFE from SANS was literally the only thing that gave me that technical oomph that I feel like I needed. I'm still a woman, I still get paid way less. But just so we're all on the same page, that didn't give me the job. My job allowed me to go to that certification. So I wasn't oh, I'm such a strong, independent woman that I got to go to GIAC. No, I convinced my boss that it was important for me to go. So I don't think, in my mind, it is valuable for you to search out things additionally to pay for to get a job. My jobs have paid to send me to those things after the fact. It was not something I brought in on the first hand. I just had a bachelor's. I didn't know anything about security, so I would just say just talk to your boss and make sure what your intentions are for where you want to go and where you think you're valuable are attended to. But I would not expect someone to pay for those things before.
I accidentally hacked some codes for the Navy right before that submarine sunk, so I had a lot of backtracking to do, so I would just be careful. But certification-wise, if I got all the certifications that I've been advised to get and have the access codes to do currently, then I would probably lose my scholarships for the actual credits that I'm attending for now. So I would say don't put all your eggs in the certificate basket. And if you do get one, they do need to be renewed. So keep an eye on that.
So, the one thing I want to piggyback on is if you're self-placed and you have the opportunity to work hard, take on an extra responsibility, take on that extra responsibility as you work towards that cert. If they need someone to get a cert for a partnership, be that person, but you have to show effort beforehand. Let your employer get that voucher or reimburse you or do some type of training for you.
Last thing I'll add to that is that a lot of federal jobs do require Security Plus. So if you are interested in working for the federal government or being a contractor or something like that, Security Plus is definitely something to look into. Is there anything else? We have one more question and then we're going to wrap it up.
Federal jobs also are probably going to require U.S. citizenship. We have a lot of awesome people that I met tonight that happen to have come from another country. They're amazing folks, but they may not be able to get a federal job until they go through that citizenship process.
That's a good point.
Yeah, very good point.
And it sucks, but that's the way of the world.
Yeah.
I agree.
Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else? We have one more question, one more, and then we're going to wrap it up.
I'll try to make my question as clear as possible.
Okay, for small companies who are all cloud-based, working manually with tools that are outside of their control, right? So like those big companies like Google, Salesforce, etc. How much of a responsibility is there to maintain the security of those tools, and how does that affect incident response? And if there is a lot more security on that, how do you effectively communicate to leadership the level of security needed for maintaining these connections?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Damn, man, you like set me up for a home run here. So first and foremost, so especially like, and let me make sure I understood your question, and that way I can respond to you directly. But like, you're a small company, and most of your services you're outsourcing to a third party, like Google, Microsoft, whatever, like whatever those things are, right? Right, I'm on the right track. Yep. Okay, so you have to understand, like, the way that you present that is you present and the way that you speak to your boss, okay, and because the way that your boss speaks to their boss is they speak in risk, okay. And so so I don't know your personal situation, but if you believe that you have identified an area that stands out as exceptionally risky, right? What you need to do is you need to speak to them, and that this area here identifies is a high risk to our business because of these following reasons, right? And so, and you speak to them in those terms, right? So you speak to them in risk. This presents a high risk to our business because of da-da-da-da-da, right? The interesting thing about from your boss or your boss's boss position is the reason why they went to an outside provider is they're transferring that risk to that provider, right? And so that's something that they have, that more than likely, again, I don't know your particular situation, but more than likely they have considered that, or maybe they don't, but like, let's take Gmail, for example, or Office 365, right? Let's take that for an example, right? If I move my email server to Office 365, what I've done is I've transferred the risk of downtime to Microsoft, right? I've transferred the risk of authentication to Microsoft, right? But I haven't transferred the risk of being, like, of an account being compromised in those I still own. Like, I still own that risk. But what I've done is I've shaved off a lot of the, like in the CIA triangle, right? Like I've shaved off a lot of that to Microsoft, right? And so like you have to be thinking about that. And so and so one of the things that we recommend for like especially small to mid-sized companies is you implement a third-party risk review program. Third-party risk means that okay, so if I take a look at one of my providers, let's say email, or let's say documents, or let's say my lawyer. Okay, actually, let's talk about a lawyer for a little bit. Right. So, what risk does my lawyer present to me? Okay, what data does my lawyer have on me? Right? And when you start looking at it from a corporate perspective, they may know, they may have very, very critical information as it pertains to your business. It may be a new investment that you're going to be making. It may be a divestment that you're making, right? So like if you're getting ready to sell off a piece of your company, if you're ready to acquire something of your company. But they also have really, really good access to a lot of your systems. Like, you know, so if their systems were to become compromised, if your lawyer's systems were to become compromised, imagine the damage, the business email compromise, BEC or whatever, that could occur to your business, right? And so our recommendation is that you identify, number one, it works exactly like Security 101, but you take a look at your assets, right? What are my assets? Okay, take a look at that from a third party. Who are my vendors? Okay, and then you say, of my vendors, what kind of data and what kind of access do those vendors have of mine, right? So they may have network access, they may have data access, they may have an email address that belongs to you, whatever, but start to identify those things, and then you classify those to a risk, okay? And one of the things that I think have made me very, very successful in that third-party risk review over time is I also give them 3 scenarios. I give them a high likelihood scenario, a mid-likely scenario, and an unlikely scenario, right? So let's take a look at you know, like your lawyer or whatever. So there is a high likelihood that if our lawyers were to become ransomware, that our data would be impacted, right? And so you put it into a oh my gosh, I forget what the name, like you into a heat chart, right? Into a heat chart of what is the impact to our company and what is the likelihood of this to occur, right? And 3 scenarios around that, right? And what that does is that gives your boss and your boss's boss or maybe you or whatever the ammunition you need to be able to extend that, right? So like if we were to say like, okay, how are we going to address this lawyer problem? Let's keep the data on our systems, right? So let the SharePoint, whatever, like let's keep our data on ours. Let's give them access to our data. In the event they're compromised, we shut off their access. Right? Did we lose some data? Maybe. Did we lose all? No. Did we get ransomware? No. Right? Like, and so, first of all, you just need to change the way that you're looking at those things, and you need to talk in risk and not nerd, right? Like, I have that trouble too, right? But then, you know, just present it that way. And hopefully, answer your question. If you have follow-up, please contact me afterwards. I'd be happy to talk.
Thank you all tonight. Thank you for coming out. We got SecKC meeting coming up again next month, 2nd Tuesday of the month, Patch Tuesday. Let's hear it one more time for the panel, everybody. Thank you again for coming out. We'll see you all again next month, Tuesday, 2nd Tuesday of the month, Patch Tuesday. Thank you, everybody.